Okay. We have Rand Paul on with us. Senator Rand Paul, one of the few that are actually standing up and saying, no, we said we weren't going to raise taxes. We're not going to raise taxes. But he's in the vast minority, even of the GOP, it seems, lately. Senator, how are you, sir?
Good, except for I'm feeling lonely up here. I think a lot of my Republican colleagues want to fold and give up and just join the Democrat Party.
Can I ask you a question? What is the strategy here of not having significant cuts, giving up the only chip you have on the table, and then having the president making a deal where we'll go back to cuts later? What do you? I mean, you lose twice.
Well, the whole concept here of this fiscal cliff is somewhat muddled because they're arguing we're going off a cliff if we cut spending. And then they're arguing we are going off a cliff if we raise taxes, but we won't go off the cliff if we only raise 40% of the nation's taxes. None of this argument makes sense, but the real problem is Republicans are giving up on who we are, and I've got something that will come out in the Wall Street Journal either today or tomorrow where I say, look, if we're no longer going to be the party of lower taxes that believes that you stimulate the economy by leaving more money in the private sector, we might as well disband.
I would, you know what, Senator, I would support you 110%, and I think millions of Americans would do the same. It's time to the Republican Party has become the Whig Party. There is nobody nobody has any passion, no passion, except for maybe his family for John Boehner. Maybe his family has passion for John Boehner. Who has passion for the GOP except those who have power?
The problem is we lost an election, but we didn't get really creamed. It was 52-48. 48% of America still believes in what we believe in. So should we come back to Washington and say, oh, because we lost 52-48, we're going to say, oh, we no longer believe in limited government, lower taxation, less regulation, and balanced budgets?
But, Senator, you know and I know that the reason why they're saying it is because the ones who are in charge of the party don't believe in smaller government and smaller spending. They don't. But the people of the on our side are passionate about it, and they're looking for leaders that are passionate about it. And if the GOP won't provide that leadership, I have nothing. I don't want anything to do with the GOP. I won't support them at all.
Well, I met with a group of conservative House members and Senate members last night, and the discussion is why don't we have a Republican alternative that says how we would avert this fiscal cliff that doesn't include raising taxes, that does include cutting spending, and many of these things have already been passed. And so we said, let's come up with a package and let's show the American people we are willing to avert this so-called cliff, but this is how we would fix the country if we were in charge, because we are in charge of the United States House of Representatives. You elected us to be in charge. Let's act like we're in charge.
So what was their response to that crazy idea that maybe you should have a plan?
Everybody seemed to be in agreement, but they have to get this through the leadership because you can't introduce a bill in the House of Representatives without approval of the leadership.
Well, approval of the leadership means John Boehner, and he sucks.
Well, what we have to see is, whether or not there's anybody that'll listen, and that has to originate in the House, and so these House members will be back there today talking to their caucus, and this has already been going on. It's not, so you don't hear about it a lot of times, but there is conservative rumbling. There are people who truly believe in the message of the limited government, limited by the Constitution, limited by the principles of balancing the budget. Those people exist.
Who are the big fighters with you? So we have some names. Who are the ones that are really fighting in the House and the Senate?
You mean fighting for what's right?
Yeah.
I would say one of the leaders, and I hate to name names, but I think this is in a positive way. Jim Jordan is one of the leaders over there, and he's been head of the Republican Study Committee, which is the conservative group. I think he's not the head now because it's a term-limited head.
Wait. Let's pretend we don't know who Jim Jordan is.
He's a congressman from Ohio and a leader among conservatives over there, and I don't think he would mind me telling you that he is one that is promoting that we should have a conservative alternative, and I think he's one who wants to stand up and defend the principles of limited government.
Good.
You have anybody from the Texas delegation who's supporting you? Any of the...
Yeah, there are lots, and I can't go through all the different names of everybody that is working for this. But I would say there are many. They may not be in the majority, but there are many voices who say we shouldn't give up on the taxpayer pledge that we made to voters. We shouldn't give up on what we believe in as Republicans.
So tell us what you think is going to happen, what it means, and then what we can possibly do, because they're going to do this over Christmas break, because that's when they give us a bloodbath. That's when they gave us George Bush gave us the fluorescent light bulb and the incandescent light bulb ban. He gave it to us over Christmas. That's when they gave us Obamacare, and that's when they're going to give us this. So what is it we could possibly do?
You know, I think it's going to be big, it's going to be bad, and it's going to be ugly. There'll be a lot of things, a lot of eyesores stuck into this thing. There'll be things stuck into the package no one ever sees in the light of day, but they'll probably pass something before Christmas. The only other possibility is, and there is some rumor that this may happen, the president's out campaigning and that he's more than willing to go off the cliff. The cliff for him is somewhat of a game, so he plays the game of going off the cliff in order to come back in January and say, oh, everybody's taxes went up, but now I want to come back and reduce the middle-class taxes. And he may use it as a game, stick the debt ceiling on it. Either way, I think they stick the debt ceiling on it. So last year we raised the debt ceiling $2 trillion. I think they'll do it again this year.
So is there $2 trillion or infinity?
Well, it's essentially infinity, and it's becoming a point of no return, really. At some time, we're going to get to the point where we print up so much money we destroy the currency, and we're getting dangerously close.
Yeah, okay. So, what are are there any states, because I happen to believe the secret is in the individual. I mean, the secret to everything is in the individual town, the individual community, the individual entrepreneur. That's where the answer lies. Are there any states or anything that listeners should be doing with their states to get them involved in making sure that their state is prepared to be a lifeboat for the rest of the country and be able to unplug from this system as it goes down?
Yeah, and actually that's one of the bright lights out there is the Supreme Court did give an opening for states to resist Obamacare, resist the expansion of Medicaid. Expansion of Medicaid is going to bankrupt state governments. So you're already seeing several states, and I think Texas is one, that's resisting Obamacare. If they do, I think that is one point of resistance. The other thing you're seeing is that state policies make a difference. All the right-to-work states with low income tax like Texas, Tennessee, Florida, Florida may not be right to work, but most of these southern states are gaining in population, gaining in clout, and their economies are doing better. So eventually people will flee where they're not welcome. Where money's not welcome, it flees. So they're going to flee the high tax states like California, Illinois, and New York, and it's already been going on for a decade.
We don't want them in Texas. We don't want the people who voted for seriously, don't want somebody who voted for high taxes in Illinois who don't understand what they're running against and will vote for the same thing in Texas. Don't want the people from California who don't really understand they committed suicide.
But it's a strong message, and it's a really important message that we keep saying, why is Texas growing? It's growing because people are coming there because of the entrepreneurial spirit and because of low taxes and because it's a right-to-work state. And if these other economies keep crumbling, hopefully the people coming to Texas will understand that they're coming to get away from big government policy.
Now, Senator, is there anything that the people can do to encourage leadership, John Boehner in particular, to allow them to get him to allow the bill to come to the floor? An alternative plan?
A million emails to John Boehner in the next day or two would have some effect. So if everybody listening to your audience right now, which is probably bigger than a million, would actually send an email, if everybody would send an email to John Boehner and say, stand up for what Republicans believe in, put forward a proposal, even if Harry Reid and the president won't sign it, stand up and put forward something you believe in so the American people know that we're not dead and that we still believe in something, even if ultimately you're going to make some kind of deal with the president, put forward something that you can believe in and your people could actually vote for before you make that deal.
Senator Rand Paul, I have a feeling we're going to be hearing a lot more from you in the future. You are a leader that is growing in respect, and you will grow in your clout because you are standing, I believe, where the people are standing. And it's good to have you on the phone, sir.
Good to be with you, Glenn. Have a good book tour.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Wow. Scary.